Pretty Little Liars, the TV show, sometimes deals with disturbing and problematic topics. We provided a list of content warnings in the episode description.
Welcome to Dead Ends. I'm Emily.
I'm Brenton.
And we're ready for season 2. Are you ready for season 2?
I'm very ready for season 2.
Are you excited about season 2?
I am excited about season 2.
What are you most excited for about season 2?
More reveals, more mysteries, and a whole lot of fun. What am I excited for in season 2?
Spoby.
I'm excited for more. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I'm a little. I like Spoby. I'm a little cautious about where they're heading so far these first couple episodes.
What do you mean?
What do I mean?
Yeah.
It seems like that there's like some friction being caused with Toby's like weirdness of his life going on. In that last episode, they're kind of like on weird, like it's like Toby's being mean and being shut off. Not being mean, being upset and being more shut off. So I'm like, ooh, is this going to lead to friction?
Oh, like when he was like cranky.
Yeah.
You get cranky.
Totally. But I'm skeptical of where the show's going to go.
Got it. Yeah.
But I'm excited for Jason. He seems like a grade A weirdo now.
Surfer Jason's here.
It seems more like prepper Jason. I mean, he's got
Jason.
Exactly. I mean, he's got the look of like a surfer guy, but he's very intense this time, and he seems more like someone who hasn't slept and is like building a fence. So I'm excited for more of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, are you ready to hop in?
I am.
All right.
So episode 23, It's Alive.
I'm surprised they didn't call it The Boys Are Back in Town.
That would have been great. They open up as all the boys are coming back in. We get a montage.
Well, I just mean like all the boys are back.
Uh-huh.
All the boys are back in town.
Every single one. We should have had a montage of them all arriving back in their places.
Uh-huh.
Do you think that was Lucas and Caleb as they're driving along? They're just like bopping to boys are back in town.
Lucas did spring for the motel for them. It made it sound like they had a very romantic evening.
Could only buy they're sharing a bed. It's like, sorry, this is the only room they had.
Yeah, whereas it's obvious from Lucas's car he has money.
Yeah, uh-huh. Sprung for them. I guess where they like found wherever.
What?
You couldn't have bought the plane ticket? I mean, they were like just hold up it wherever they were.
Oh, yeah.
You couldn't have bought the plane tickets? I mean, whatever. Do what you got to do, I guess. It's a long drive. That's all I'm saying. Yeah,
but didn't you do a lot of dumb, pointless long drives as a teenager?
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, I'm thinking about Lucas driving there and driving back.
It's probably
he rented a car. Do you think he flew to Flagstaff and then?
I'm assuming he drove because you can't rent a car as a child.
Oh, that's true.
And you probably can't buy a plane ticket for another child as a child.
Yeah, but that's a multiple day drive.
Yeah.
There and back.
But Lucas loves Hannah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. It's just a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's just like gone from the rest of these couple episodes. Very funny. All right. We open on the same night from the season finale as the friends all discuss Ian's body. They express some skepticism over whether he's dead, but Spencer reiterates that he is in fact dead. Garrett walks up to all the girls and is like, "Hey, like I'll drive you all down to the station." And Aria's like, "I don't know, like our parents are gonna want to know where we're gonna be going. Like we need to tell them." And he's like, "Don't worry, your parents are gonna meet us down there." Obviously, red flags going off here. As they drive in the cop car, Garrett takes a turn and drives him down an alley where Hannah is just like, "What are you doing?" He tells them to all get out of the car, which he again puts back on. He's just like, "Get out." And he's like, "It's not safe to talk in the car. And there's some things we need to go over before you get to the station." He mentions that the police can't know about him assisting them in blackmailing Ian, because that's a felony. That's a big crime. And also, if they tell the police about the videos, they have to be able to say how they got them. And they all agree with it, and Spencer also reiterates that like, well, the videos will stay a secret, and they climb back in the car. As they leave, the camera pans, and Jenna is like down the block on the opposite street,
watching them.
Yeah. Supersonic hearing. The next day, the friends all discuss the night. She's like way far away. If she heard it, then the whole block heard them. The next day, the friends all discuss the night before, and that A is still looming over them. Aria asks about the hooded person, the black hoodie, and says it's safe to assume it's not Jenna. Emily says they need to tell someone about A, and the other three completely disagree, and they're like, we have way too much to lose if our secrets are exposed. They all go downstairs to find their parents. They're at the Hastings household, and all their parents are in the downstairs. Mrs. Hastings speaks for the group and says that them accusing Ian has put them in the spotlight, and that the police now think the other three are also involved with Allison's death, along with Spencer. The parents all say that, it'd be good if you went and all saw a grief counselor, because that'll make you all look more sympathetic. Spencer asks, like, do you believe us, like, when we tell you the story? And Mrs. Hastings like, oh, all I know is I have 2 daughters and they both need to be protected. And Spencer's like, you didn't answer my question. And Mrs. Hastings looks at the floor. Aria says the reason you haven't heard back from Ian is because he's dead. Mr. Hastings then says, dead men don't walk away. Emily suggests that someone moved the body, and Mrs. Hastings pushes back. It's like, who would do that and for what reason? There's a knock at the door, and Mr. Hastings goes to answer it, and it's Toby, who's like, how is Spencer doing? I'm really worried. Mr. Hastings is like, well, she's like not doing great, but you shouldn't be here, and you can't be seen with her, and like, if you really care about her, you will leave her alone, and shuts the door on him. Well, Toby actually says first, I would never hurt her, and then Mr. Hastings says, like, if you like would never hurt her, then like stay away from her. And shuts the door on him. Garrett and Jenna watch outside Allison's old house and observe that Jason has moved back inside. I don't understand that. Garrett says if anybody finds out about the Jason thing, ... And Jenna says that won't happen. We have a new thing, everybody. The thing tracker going off.
The Jenna thing, the Jason thing.
Uh-huh.
What else was the thing?
Jenna thing, Jason thing, I guess, would be the...
We just do J name things.
Uh-huh. And
just
then,
J things.
Yeah, and then Maya's family apparently just moved. Question marks.
Their daughter was smoking pot, Brenton. Yeah. They had to leave town.
Exactly. They're chased out of town pretty much. Aria is at school with her mom, and Ella says, hey, it's okay if you stay home if you want to. And Aria's like, well, who's home? Mine or yours? And then Ella's just like, hey, you mentioned, you called me out pretty much on like not choosing between like whether I want to stay with your father or not, and like you were correct in doing that, and I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna move back in. And Aria is excited and is just like, you're not doing this for me, are you? And I was like, well, I'd be lying if I'd say you weren't a part of it, but I'm doing it for myself. I'm ready to come back home. The friends all walk into class as their classmates all stare at them. Fitz then walks in and erases a hangman game that was drawn on the chalkboard with the word, it's not completely filled in, but it's going to spell liars underneath. Someone greets Fitz off screen, and the camera turns, and it's Noel smiling, the biggest shit-eating grin you've ever seen in your life. A kid off screen asks if his suspension is over. I only note that because I'm like, oh, okay, so he was suspended. Noel then sits next to Aria and asks if she's missed him. Hannah's at her locker, overhearing other girls gossip about her. Mona then walks over, dresses them down, and calls it like pretty much just like, I hate people for gossiping. They're the worst. She then gossips back about the girls as they all leave. Hannah then reminisces about their summer together and when they were good friends, and like, wow, like wasn't that like such a nice time when we were like just kind of hanging out? And then she's like, ooh, maybe I do need therapy. And Mona looks at her weird, and Hannah's like, oh, just like retail therapy. You need therapy.
Yeah, they all need therapy. The whole town needs therapy.
The whole grief canceling thing is just like, this is like too little.
Years too late.
Yeah. Spencer and Aria oversee Noel, and they're like,
Why would you expect girls whose best friend was murdered and it's never been solved to have gotten over it?
yeah. I thought you would be past this by now.
That's
This is the Byron level of reasoning.
this is wealthy white people shit.
Right. It's only you go to therapy because you need to
You need to make the thing go away.
right, yeah, you need to be able to like look sympathetic in court, not because you have trauma you need to process.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like when Mrs. Hastings, I'm jumping ahead to the next episodes a little bit, but Mrs. Hastings like, I have to protect my daughters, and then her Mr. Hastings are just gone the next episode when Melissa is obviously going through some shit.
Leaving them alone together.
I know. Well, I know there was an attempt on our daughter's life, but we've got a vacation to get to.
Well, but it was an accident. They don't believe that there was any foul play involved.
Yeah. But it's fantastic. I don't have any gripes about that other than like.
Also, they don't believe Spencer on anything except for the fact that she didn't intentionally crash the car. I guess because Melissa corroborated it.
Right. I don't know. Even Mrs. Hastings just like, I don't know. She might have intentionally crashed it.
No, because when it happened, she told Spencer it wasn't her fault.
Right. But even like Mrs. Hastings, like in this episode, I think is kind of like,
Everything's suspicious.
Yeah. Spencer and Aria oversee Noel, who's hanging with a bunch of people, and Spencer's like, how is he like more popular than ever? Fitz calls Aria in to talk about her, hey, I need to talk to you about your essay. Spencer's like, you don't have to go, and Aria's like, it's okay. Fitz asks if Aria's okay, and Aria's like, yes. And he's like, hey, don't shut me out. And Aria's like, I just don't want to talk to you about this stuff. Fitz then apologizes about Jackie and says, hey, she doesn't change anything about our lives and stuff. Just come over later. Aria's like, no, and things feel different now. Mm-hmm. Fitz says nothing's changed, and Aria says, I can't talk about this right now. He asks if they're over, and Aria's like, I don't know.
Ezra, talk about me, Fitz, after you've been in a really dangerous situation.
But
why won't you talk to me?
Right.
Why do you think he wants?
Don't you see nothing's changed? Doesn't that make you feel better?
I'm still your teacher.
Exactly. I'm still your teacher, goddammit. Well, not for long. Emily watches the Jenna video again on her laptop as a random man appears in her bedroom, and she shuts her laptop and is like, what the hell? Pam then jumps in and is like, oh, this is the realtor looking to sell the house for us. They both look at the room and then leave. Emily looks mad and closes the door. Melissa is shown trying to call Ian's family, but gets no word. We then see that she is on the couch with Garrett and her two parents, and they're talking about finding Ian. Garrett reassures her that it is we're definitely gonna find him. And as Spencer arrives back, and is like, oh my god, Melissa, I'm so glad you're home. And she gets an icy glare from her. Garrett then goes to leave and hands Melissa her phone, which was found at the church. Mr. Hastings stops him on the way out to emphasize how fast they need to find Ian. And he tells Garrett tells Mr. Hastings that it is of the police's utmost priority. Mm-hmm. Melissa yells at Spencer about how she wants her nowhere near the baby. And when Ian's back, they're going to leave and we're just going to move out of here. And Spencer's just like, what the hell is happening here? And motion to the room is just like, if I'm lying, where is he? Solid reasoning. Mrs. Hastings says you're just complicating things. And Spencer says she's only protecting one daughter and the other is just a complication, and then stomps off.
Fair enough.
And
you know
Mrs.
what?
Hastings
Me too.
maybe she'll go to see a movie again.
With her tuna sandwich.
Exactly.
Oh.
Aria, Spencer, and Emily sit in a therapist's office awkwardly. Hannah then walks in late with a bunch of shopping bags, and therapist introduces herself as Anne. And Hannah's like, what did I miss? And they're like, we waited for you. And she's like, crap. Lucas and Caleb then arrive back in town as Boys Are Back in Town is playing in all of our heads. Caleb's like, hey, I owe you for the motel. And Lucas is like, no, you don't. He's like, I don't know what you did to Hannah, but don't do it again. Caleb nods. Lucas drives off into, later in the season.
No hugs, no kisses, no goodbyes.
That's just boys. We nod.
I've met your friends, honey.
Yeah. It's a hug and a kiss.
For half of them.
The therapist, or Anne, asks about Allison and is like, you seem to credit her with your friendship. The friends all say they grew apart when she had died, but came back together. And the therapist asks, like, why is that? And it's like, well, her death. Spencer's like, we were looking for answers. And Anne says, like, for who murdered her? And then they all kind of look awkwardly. And she's like, this is a safe place to talk. Like, I can't say anything outside this room or tell anybody like what we discuss here. Aria kind of asks quietly to the friends, like, should we talk about the thing? A phone then goes off and they all look awkward. And Anne asks, well, what is up? What's happening? And Spencer's like, oh, that's just our time is up. Outside of the therapist's office, Aria confirms, oh, the phone going off was just my mom texting me. Spencer then sees Toby on the street and he smiles back at her, but then Jenna walks over and he has to let her in the car. Emily sees a newspaper with her photo on it that says, what really happened? And they grab it and they start reading it. They find out that Ian's car was found by the train station with $10,000 in it. And it looks like that he skipped town, but the paper says that the friends obviously knew that he skipped town and came up with a story about it. Their phones go off to a text from A that says, I spy a liar. Hannah arrives home to Caleb and Ashley in the kitchen. Ashley then excuses herself to let them talk, but before she leaves, she makes sure Hannah is okay. Hannah tells Caleb he's not allowed to look at her like that, and Caleb's like, I'm sorry, like I didn't like leave without saying goodbye. Hannah asks, Caleb is like, I didn't leave without saying goodbye. Hannah asks if she was unconscious during that exchange.
Caleb says,
yeah. Caleb says he should have said it in person, but he couldn't. He would have messed it up, so he wrote it in a letter. And in it, he said he was sorry. Then he says, most of my life I've felt alone, even with people, until I met you. Hannah then asks where this supposed letter went, and he's like, I gave it to Mona. Hannah's like, well, I appreciate you coming back, but it doesn't like change anything like about what you did. Caleb says, if you let me, I'll make it up to you. Hannah says she'll never forget that he was using her. Caleb says he's sorry again, and Hannah says, I believe you, but you should go. Caleb says goodbye and leaves as Hannah cries. We then cut to Hannah meeting Mona at the grill for dinner. Hannah is just like, how could you do that to me? And like, I know about the letter. Mona says, like, I'm your friend and that's why I did it, and I couldn't let him hurt you again. Mona says she's so sorry, but she's like, I thought I was doing the right thing. Hannah says it doesn't take it back, and this hurts worse than Caleb. They're then interrupted by Noel coming in, apologizing to Mona for being late and kissing her. Hannah turns and leaves.
What did you yell during that? Like, oh, that's great. Or something like that. Like, you were very excited.
Very excited. It's like, yes.
A power couple, if you will.
Seriously.
Brenton's two favorite menaces.
Mm-hmm. We got a chaos couple.
Chaos couple.
Fantastic turn. So much better than what I was forecasting last
You couldn't have wrote that one.
No, that's fantastic. Yeah, good stuff. Spencer is in her room when she gets a text from Toby asking where she is. Melissa comes in and asks
from
to talk.
Emily saying that Toby was there.
Oh, that's where. Okay, and it's like, Toby's here if you want to come over.
Yeah, Toby's here, and she was supposed to come over to see Toby at Emily's house that way. Then.
Yeah. Melissa comes over and asks to talk. Spencer's like, I'm going to meet Emily, but Melissa calls out that she's packing up a Russian book, and she's like, are you going to see Toby? If so, I won't say anything to Mom and Dad. Melissa's like, I thought you should know that we were gonna like what we're going to name the baby, and we're gonna name it Taylor. Melissa then shuts the door and says she doesn't believe the police and wants to hear Spencer's story again. Spencer asks if she believes her, and Melissa says, I don't know what to believe, but Ian wouldn't just leave me. Toby is at Emily's and they discuss Emily's Texas move. Toby then, in Toby fashion, takes out his pocket knife and saws the board off the wall with Emily's height marks so she could take it with her. Emily gets a text from Spencer saying she can't make it, and Emily turns to Toby and says she's sorry. Toby's like, you have nothing to be sorry about, and Emily's like, well, I'm also sorry for letting you down when you needed me, a few weeks back. Toby says, don't worry, it's in the past. And Emily says, I always knew I was different, but you saw through me. Like you saw it. And Toby's like, well, I saw how you looked at Maya. You really loved her. And Emily says, I miss talking to you. And Toby says, well, look at how easy it is. We're back to a good space now. It'll always be like that. Oh, how touching.
How sweet.
Aria arrives at Fitz's apartment and he lets her in. Fitz says, hey, I saw the newspaper yesterday. And Aria's like, we didn't lie and Ian is dead. Fitz is like, I believe you. Fitz says, Aria, you have me to go to along with your friends as well. And says, you can ask me anything and I will tell you the truth. Aria asks why Jackie ended it. And Fitz says she thought she was ready, but she wasn't. Aria asks if she was the rebound, and Fitz is like, well, no, but you helped me get over it. Aria asks if Fitz was still in love with her when they met, and he kind of gives a non-answer. Fitz says there's not one moment when they were together where he was thinking about anyone else but her. Aria pulls away and says thank you. Fitz says, you know what I love about Saturdays? That I just know when I look over at you and we're going to be spending the entire day together. And he's like, would you stay? We then cut to Aria leaving out the front door and Fitz asking if he can call her tomorrow. Aria says she's hanging with her family, so I'll just see you on Monday. As she's walking down the hall, she gets a text from A that says, look familiar? What's missing? And it's a picture of Fitz's desk from his apartment. Aria then runs back and sees the key under the mat is missing. Aria talks to the friends about the missing key in A. Hannah looks at the image on her phone and is like, oh, is that a Playboy? Aria is then not happy with this joke and clarifies that it's a playbill. And Hannah's like, hee hee hee. Emily says, I don't want to sit next to you guys at another funeral. And Spencer says, oh, you're like alluding to that you want us to tell the therapist about A. Emily says it would be different telling Anne because she has to keep it a secret. Spencer's like, well, do we all agree? And they do. We cut to the friends seeing Anne. Hannah clarifies that she like, hey, you can't say anything of like what we talk about in here, right? And Anne's like, I can only mention things if you are a danger to yourself or others. Hannah then nominates Aria to tell her about A. As she starts talking, Spencer notices a diploma on the wall belonging to Ezra Fitz and stops the talk. Anne wonders she's like, wait, what's happening? Why did you stop? And while Spencer is talking to Anne, like trying to just cover up like what just happened, Hannah grabs the diploma off the bookshelf and puts it in her purse. They all leave while Anne is confused, but she doesn't notice the missing diploma. Hannah shows Aria the diploma outside, and Aria says, "This is what A took from Fitz, and they put it there to scare us." Aria is in her room as her parents come in to talk. They ask what happened at the therapist today, and says it's better. Anne is saying it's better if you all don't see her as a group. The therapist then says, "Actually, you should all spend time apart." And we think it's a good idea. Aria is shocked, as are we. We then get scenes of the other friends receiving word from their parents and looking sad. Spencer looks out her window and sees something move outside. So she then runs downstairs and locks all the doors, but sees a figure going in through a door that's behind her kitchen. So she ducks behind the kitchen island and grabs a knife. But as they enter, she sees it's Toby, so she runs up and they embrace. We cut to the outside of the therapist's office as Anne is leaving and locking up for the night. She walks down the street as we see a shadow kind of approach her from behind, but then she turns around and there's no one there. She quickly moves and gets in her car and leaves. As she does, we see a hooded figure watch from behind a dumpster. Toby leaves Spencer's house and he's like, lock the door. And Spencer's like, I will. Spencer hears a text notification come from the couch, and she runs over and sees it's Melissa's phone. She grabs it and sees it's a text from a blocked number that says, Melissa, I'm sorry, but it's not safe yet. I can't tell you. Aria is woken up to a text from Spencer that says SOS. Aria then sneaks out, and we cut to all the friends meeting in a greenhouse, which we're assuming is on Spencer's property. They discuss that Ian could still be alive. Hannah suggests sending a reply, and Spencer texts, how do I know this is you? They get a reply that says, ask me anything. Spencer texts back, what are we naming our baby? And the reply is Taylor. Spencer says Ian's alive, and there's a loud banging outside. This is proven to be part of the scene. We were a little confused whether it was part of the scene or not. We then cut to a gloved hand looking at Emily's picture frame of the 5 friends. We then see that the realtor is asking them if they've already seen this room and want to go see the guest bedroom. As the gloved hand puts the picture frame down and walks away, the camera pans and we see that Emily's laptop is running a program that's erasing all of her files. The end.
Dun, dun, dun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's start with Garrett. Is Garrett a good witch or a bad witch?
Bad witch.
He's a bad witch?
Mm-hmm.
Is he helping them?
No.
He's hurting them.
Absolutely. He's in cahoots with Jenna.
And is Jenna in cahoots with who?
Well, I mean, she's running her own thing because she was trying to get the videos. And obviously there's something to do with Jason. Question mark, question mark, question mark. So they're running their own game.
Mm-hmm.
They're not in cahoots with anybody but themselves.
I really like this plot line. This plot line actually, I don't know if they take it as far as I wish they would, but like it's actually really decently done from what I remember. Like I have memories of it.
It seems like interesting so far.
Which is something when you think about the longevity and the plot points of the show. Like I have memories of this.
Totally. I think whatever their like stuff going on is the most interesting, probably like tantalizing mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so easy. We just get like
superhearing Jenna.
Think about like Kingdom Hearts.
Uh-huh.
Like when it's just like, oh, okay, what the hell that like drives people crazy is like you cryptically allude to proper nouns. And then it's just like, well, what does that mean? What is this? So then it's like perfect fodder for like mystery.
Mm-hmm.
So it's right in the grand tradition of just like, ooh, we're gonna give you something. What is the Jason thing? What is your connection?
How much money did they ask for Ian to bring?
$10K.
Okay.
Because that was that money that was found in the car.
No, the money that he brought, Garrett kept. Garrett kept the money.
But that wasn't from Ian. That was a person
that Ian gave the money to deliver.
Oh, I see. So you're saying that Ian or Garrett planted the car there.
I'm not saying that because I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is that $10,000 is in 2 places at once.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, do we know that Ian sent that driver to go there? I thought that was like from A or something, probably.
Oh. No, because he told Spencer asking for the cash was smart. And that he knew that her friends were over there. So I assumed that he sent the driver.
Got it. Yeah, I guess it doesn't necessarily preclude. That doesn't necessarily mean that Garrett is the one that dropped the car off there, but I mean, you could see that happening.
And it also, I mean, like Garrett could also have that. Ian could have had $20,000 out. Like,
right? Yeah.
But I was just like, I just put that together when you were doing the recap. I was like,
wait a minute.
How did the $10,000 get there?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, that would make more sense if Garrett then dropped it off there. And because he's like, oh, we found Ian's car.
Mm-hmm. With $10,000 in it.
Yeah. So what is Garrett's potential stake in like perpetuating that Ian is on the run or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Why would sending the girls to a grief counselor help with public opinion?
I have no idea.
Me neither.
It was that they need to
they're trying to get over it.
Right. Oh, Your Honor,
so that then they have the legal defense of like because no one believes them that they were at least that was a grief thing. It wasn't a lying just to lie.
Right. I guess
which means
so.
that no one believes them.
Uh-huh. You know, I think it's a little tough for the moment because it's like it seems so transparent of just like, oh yeah, like why don't they believe their daughters at all? Like why would Spencer go through this big thing and like pretend to be attacked in the church? Because it's like, but I mean like, cause that's the show. It's just like it is teens solving the mystery, so the parents necessarily have to be against them. It doesn't slot in nicely, so it's just like big kind of like logic gaps where you're just kind of like, okay. So yeah, the grief counselor thing, I guess you'd have to, the logic is that, oh, they made this up because of their grief and we're gonna work on it.
They're obsessed with finding out who killed Allie because they need closure.
Right. But it also slots into like you're mentioning, like rich, like upper class parents. They're just like, oh well, we need to like put forth a good image. Like this needs to be
well, and that's what Emily's mom says. She's like, we do believe you, but we care more about how this looks, basically.
Right. Pretty much.
Do you think
we do believe you, but we don't.
Do you think any of the parents believe them?
No.
Not a single one?
Not a single one.
You don't think Ashley believes?
No. I think Ashley, I don't think fully.
Do you think Ella?
Not enough to go to bat for him.
Do you think Ella believes Aria?
Or is Ella just like, well, your father doesn't believe you? No, I don't think a single one of them fully believes. I think they're supportive, but they don't. I think Ashley and Ella would be supportive of them, but is still like doesn't believe them.
We'll never know what Wayne thinks. He's in Texas.
Exactly. Because they all go through with they should all be apart. We should listen to the therapist. So they're defaulting.
That one's weird to me.
It just doesn't light up. But yeah, the same thing. It's just like, well, if you wanted them to see a grief counselor, like there was a year gap there where like their friend was missing.
Yeah. And so they
don't actually want to see a grief counselor is the thing.
No.
Yeah, this show has I don't want to like get into the intention, but it like intentionality of it because I don't know. But it has a funny image of how people see therapy.
But everyone did. Remember, there's like it wasn't until the year in the life on Gilmore Girls that we got therapy in a non-negative light. Because there's even Gilmore Girls when Rory gets sent to the therapist for dropping out of school. It still is like a it's a negative thing, or it's a laughable thing.
Right.
It's not like a legitimate like, oh, this is a great way to learn coping mechanisms.
Right. Yeah, there's a long history of
television just like negating the importance of therapy.
Yes.
Especially at that time. Which explains why so many of us had horrible mental health issues that were just ignored.
Yeah. I think probably 2012 it was starting to turn around, I would think. But I can't think of like even now, like outside of like what you're saying. If therapy doesn't come up, usually I guess it's a little bit more of like a thing now. I never watched The Sopranos. I don't think that's a standard bearer, but I know Tony Soprano is in therapy for a lot of it.
Oh.
I don't think that's like it's intentionally positive light, but I think there's still problematic things, but I can't quite speak to it, but
Got it.
It comes up here and there, I think, of like, well, it's like people are using this to process trauma, no matter how ridiculous it can be.
Yes. Why did Jason come back?
Indeed. Well, I don't really have any thoughts from this episode. I think that'd be like next episode. Okay. I don't.
What do you think the Jason thing is then?
Yeah, like what the hell? Because it has to do with Jenna and Garrett, or at least it just has to do with
one of them.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, Jenna is jumps in pretty fast, so I would think they're both connected somehow. I can't possibly imagine. I cannot possibly imagine what happened, if I'm going to be honest. Because, like, Jason is a nothing. And there's not anything like with Jenna where it's just like, we blinded her. So with Jason is just like, I don't know. He seemed okay last season, and then all of a sudden he's just like putting up barricades in front of his house. So like,
well, I mean, he changed his hair too,
right?
And his face.
He's a completely different person. Did the actor just like? I'm assuming just like scheduling conflicts or something.
I have no idea. Yeah, I assume so. This was just a significantly higher touch role because they moved him back into town. So I assume it had to do with that.
Yeah.
I can look into it for us for the next episode, but
got it.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Yeah.
We just replaced him.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, because I'd be interested in who the hell this guy is.
The actor themselves?
Yeah, got it. Both.
It's like it's Jason.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm also very interested in who the hell this character is. But couldn't possibly in a million years guess what the hell they did.
Do you think Jason's going to end up on our menace list?
Yes.
Like a Noel or an Ian or like a...
No, not like that far.
Okay.
I think like it's going to be contentious as he's like trying to figure out whatever he's trying to figure out. But I don't think he's going to be on that same level of like true menace.
Well, don't we think he's just trying to figure out who killed Allie?
Yes.
Okay.
He's the Black Hoodie.
Jason's a Black Hoodie.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You hold on to that.
Yes. Push Humpty Dumpty over.
You write that down because when it finally gets revealed, you'll have forgotten what you thought.
I'm sure.
At least if you're anything like me. I was like, oh yeah, that was not that we didn't have an answer to that yet.
I'm looking at the fact. Oh God. No. Good times.
I thought we already knew. That's what they say about assumptions. Welcome back, Noel Khan.
Yes, welcome back, Noel.
Did you hang
Very
a banner?
Excited to have you. Yeah.
Look at banner, Ezra.
Yeah. Look at banner, Noel. Family love Noel. Very excited to have him back because especially now he's just like seems like he's just like straight up scheming.
Well,
and it's funny that the friends are all like, "Damn, how's he more popular than ever?" Like coming back now. But no one else would have any reason to think that Noel is bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, he got caught cheating, and that's like whatever.
Especially like rich kid school.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, you're just in general, you'd just be like, oh, what an idiot, or like, that's funny. That's just like a thing on your kid sheet,
Mm-hmm.
your rap sheet. So it doesn't really. It's funny that like Spencer comments on that. But yeah, he just seems like straight up menace, and that he's now dating Mona.
What do you think of that?
I think he's making a play, but I don't know.
He's making a play?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what I don't think Mona is making any plays of that level at the moment. So I can see her doing that in the future, but not now.
Like because of Noel?
Maybe, or like if like Hannah crosses her somehow, or one of the other friends like
do you
fuck with
think
her.
Mona would come for Hannah?
If there's an eventual thing that happens, yes. I don't think it is out of the realm of possibility that if she experiences a slight,
even to Hannah,
yes.
I always like feel like Hannah's immune to Mona's attacks
But I can see something happening in the show where it's just like, ooh, you crossed that line.
Okay,
she's coming at you. But I don't. I can see her. I can see it being more one of the friends in the future. That's all random speculation. But Noel, I think, is definitely making a play.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's scheming. He comes back with a knowing smile. Because he got just suspended for crime he did not commit. So I would be pissed too. Even if I was like also scheming about like he was holding on to information that the teacher was sleeping in a student, and he used it to leverage better grades.
Sleeping with a student.
Sorry,
dating a student.
Dating a student.
We don't know what happens.
Yeah.
When they're alone.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the clarification. Dating a student. He had info on that. And decided he would use it to leverage a better grade. So, like,
not saying that caveat makes it better. I'm just
no. Yes, it's clear what it is. So yeah, that's Noel is definitely up to something.
Ezra, let's talk about me after your traumatic event, Fitz. What the fuck?
Yeah. This is the worst apology on the face of the planet.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm sorry, but nothing's changed. Don't you see? It's like, come on, man.
Meanwhile, like, you're potentially an accessory for murder.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. But I just want to make sure we're okay.
Yeah, are we good?
Uh-huh.
You can talk to me about this.
Right. You don't think maybe she might need a little time just in general?
Yeah, she might
she's
be
already she's not happy with you. She had a really big shakeup happen. So
yeah,
far be it from her to want to talk to you.
yeah.
But yeah, just like the non-apology too, of just like, I'm sorry, but like it's fine.
No big deal. If Ian is missing, why does no one believe the girls?
Yes, exactly. Where do they think he went? What do you think they did? Okay, like, I don't know what you girls did. You're definitely making up something because this man's missing. I can understand not believing that he's dead.
Yeah, or being like, you know what? Maybe he jumped down and they thought he got stuck, but he left and they were in so much shock they thought it'd been minutes when it'd been seconds. You know what I mean? Like,
But then you go like,
where is he?
Where? What? Yeah, Spencer made. It's especially like we're all with Spencer when she's going like, if I'm lying, where is Ian?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, yeah.
Where is he?
It's really dumb. It's really dumb. So it's yeah, I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense.
Caleb.
Mm-hmm.
Will we see him again?
We are gonna see him again.
How long?
It's gonna be a few episodes. I think he hasn't left town. He didn't go all the way back to Flagstaff. He's not on a bus. He's like sad in a campsite somewhere.
You know what I do love about Caleb?
What?
When Hannah says you have to leave, he goes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We appreciate a man who understands the word no.
Yes. And he also apologizes. Like, very big breach of trust. Completely understand. But he is there being like, I am so sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Truly, truly sorry.
100%.
So I'm with his apology.
Will they tell the therapist about A?
No.
Okay.
Or are they gonna? We don't see her next episodes, but like they allude to her off screen.
Yeah, they're obviously still seeing her.
Yeah.
They have to. So what are they privately saying to her, and who's gonna say it?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the therapist ends up dead.
You're gonna kill Dr. Sullivan?
Yeah.
A little rude, but okay.
Yeah. So if they do, if the therapist does find out about A, therapist is dead.
Oh, you think A is going to kill now? A hasn't really killed anybody yet.
No, we're just like therapist is or a therapist exactly, or therapist is gonna disappear or something. But I think if Dr. Sullivan finds out about A, she's done for. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Do you think A was the one hiding by the trash cans?
No.
The dumpster? Following Dr. Sullivan?
Yeah, I think that was Jason.
Okay,
yeah,
give me more.
Trying to figure out. I don't really have much more of a.
But you think it was Jason?
I do think it was Jason trying to like keep tabs and like figure out something, because whatever he's working on, he's trying to like keep an eye out. But it's like I don't quite understand like what. I don't even think that's gonna wrap back around of like this person tailing her.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I don't get what you get from like tailing
the
her.
Therapist.
Yeah, I think it's just meant to like spook us.
Mm-hmm. Why would the town think the girls lied for Ian while simultaneously accusing him of murder?
Okay. Yeah, so like the paper, everybody is immediately like, these girls all lied.
Because there's no body.
Right, yeah. And it's I don't know how you jump to that conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to Dr. Sullivan real quick, when the Fitz's diploma was in the therapist's office, you know what my mind first went to? Oh, this is his mom. And then it ended up not being it because I didn't catch her last name.
Oh yeah, it's Dr. Sullivan.
Right. So then when they grabbed it,
she introduced herself as Anne to them, but then the parents will call her Dr. Sullivan.
Yeah. So then when Hannah went and grabbed the diploma, of like, she's stealing her son's diploma.
Wouldn't that be funny?
I know. But it's like, okay, never mind. But that was like my first thought. Like, that's what I would think. But then they obviously knew the last name, so it doesn't line up. But she could be, that could be her maiden name.
Or he could be like her stepson.
Right, exactly. I don't think that's how that's not the direction it went at all. But going back to the town, yeah, I don't know why you would write that in the paper. Of being, how do you get to, we made up a story So they're like working together with him, but then they don't know where he is. So they're lying about where he is, but what is he up to?
But why would they? Yeah, why would they then say that he attacked them? And is dead?
What did they gain?
And that someone walked away with the body. Like what?
Yeah.
If you're gonna lie, you'd make it good.
Yeah. You know who else they said lied?
Who?
The apostles.
Oh no.
Nobody there.
Checking the wrong tomb. Anyway, so Melissa, why did she change her mind? Because Ian hasn't shown back up yet?
Oh, with Spencer?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Do you think, what does Melissa know?
I know. Melissa knows something else because Melissa is so...
calculated.
Well, yeah, exactly. What we can see is that she behaves differently around different people.
Mm-hmm.
She is more willing to believe Spencer when they're alone, but around everybody else, she treats Spencer as if Spencer is the worst person on the face of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So what is Melissa not telling us about, like, finding out about stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she doesn't know the extent of what Ian did, but she knows Ian did something. I don't think she's completely... I don't think Melissa is as like naive as like about Ian as she comes off.
Okay.
Because obviously they have some shared past, but like how she like thinks about how it comes off right now is that like Ian could do no wrong and would always be loyal to her. He wouldn't just leave. And it's just like she understands more about Ian than she lets on, and it's just like why he blew this up for reasons that, you know, maybe she doesn't quite understand.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever their plan was.
Yeah.
Other than just have their baby.
Yeah, I don't. We'll have to see where Melissa's journey takes us.
Mm-hmm. I'm stoked.
Toby and Emily's friendship, just cute.
It is. It's just nice because I mean, Toby is the most emotionally intelligent person on the show. He is very, very in touch with his feelings.
Mm-hmm. He does. He will tell us about his feelings.
Mm-hmm. And so then when he's with like other people, we get these really heartwarming moments because he's always just like, he doesn't say we will always be friends. He says, see how easy this is? Like, well, it'll always be like that. Like he's always
he's a man written by a woman.
Yeah, exactly. Like mushy isn't the right word because it's way more
poetic, like, almost.
Exactly. Yeah.
Andrew Garfield.
Right. Yes. Toby would 100% write a platonic friend a poem.
Yeah, he drew Emily cartoons.
Yeah.
Love that. Is Ian alive? Yes.
I think Ian is 100% alive. Someone is
what
with
do you think
him.
He's doing?
I know. I do think something just slotted into place, but we'll get into next time. It has not much to do with it. But I think the camping stuff getting stolen is a misdirection. Mm-hmm. I do think he doesn't want to be in town because of the attempted, almost dying, and is trying to figure out like what to do next, and doesn't want to be back in the house with Spencer, because of almost killing her. Mm-hmm. And is maybe recuperating with who pulled him down. I don't know. That's my best guess.
Okay. Is no one suspicious of the person who's viewing a home with black gloves on?
I know. It's very funny. Drove their car in or drove their bike.
Yeah, they must have been real cold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a beautiful sunny day.
Spencer brings it up in the next episode, but I wrote it down for this one. Who's deleting the files on Emily's computer?
I do think that is A.
Okay.
I do think that all that is A.
And then final thoughts. Why would you pull a friendship group apart when they're being bullied by the world?
There's because you really think that they are coming up with some shared delusion that is making them act erratic.
Yet you don't take away like their cars and their licenses and stuff?
Well, Pam, yeah,
takes
exactly.
Emily's phone.
Yeah.
Like, you can't talk to your friends, but you can go drive.
Well, and also, like I said, next episode, the Hastings are gone. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, they're...
And they can have their phones during the day?
Yeah, it's only for vision purposes.
Well, and can't they just, like, text each other and delete the messages?
Yes. It's only so it seems like they're doing things. I think that is a very good point you mentioned earlier, like that we'll bring up again, is the that upper class thing. It's just like, we want to project like you're doing better and we're doing everything that we're doing. And so like part of this is we're going to follow the therapist's advice. That
So we're going to make you all look like loners at school? That's going to win over public opinion? We're
going to all make it seem like you are not colluding again to do something like this. And it doesn't matter even like if we catch you with each other, then we'll be mad. But like, we don't know what you do the rest of the day. We just know that we need to make it look like we're like following instructions and we're being like good citizens of the town. It's not actually about helping them at all.
Okay. Any final thoughts on this episode before we move on to episode 2?
Yeah. Crap. It was just on the... it comes up next episode, so I'll talk about it then. It's on a similar wavelength of that, of talking about the friends being split up. Well, I'll just bring it up here. It's very simple. It's just when Hannah is just like, this is stupid. We should all have lunch together. Because she sees through it. She's like, I don't care. Like, I understand. I used to care about what people think, but I'm third act Hannah. This is stupid.
And also she recognizes the danger of it. That's what I've written down for my question. It's like, if we're separated, we're unempowered.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? It's a great metaphor for the world we live in now.
Yeah, we need all, yeah.
You know, if we divide women specifically and take away their power and autonomy, then they have none.
Yeah.
They have no power.
There's no power when you're being isolated.
It's a lot harder to be powerful when you are alone.
Exactly. People fear
empowered groups of women.
Yeah.
And loud women. That's what I learned from the internet.
There you go. Yeah.
Are you afraid yet?
Exactly.
Stares directly at camera. Shall we pause and then do episode 2?
Yeah, let's do it. Episode 24, The Goodbye Look. The friends all look around the greenhouse at the sound of a door, at the loud sound, which we see is the sound of the door being like scraping against the ground as the wind's blowing. And they discuss the texts. Hannah says zombies don't text, which we were very excited about from the season trailer. At least I was. Spencer says she needs to return the phone to Melissa and get back. Hannah wonders why Ian is texting Melissa. Emily is then like, and how long has this been going on?
How long has it been going on?
Exactly. Things are banging against the greenhouse, and then it sounds like things are dropping on top of the greenhouse, like stuff from the trees. So then they're all like, we need to get out of here, and they leave. As they're walking home, they see Jason has moved back in and is throwing away a bunch of items that people had left when Allison went missing. Hannah wonders aloud with Ashley why she has to put up with therapy if her mom doesn't go to therapy. And Ashley's like, sometimes you just have to deal with stuff. Hannah asks why Ashley called her dad, and Ashley's like, I didn't. He just saw the papers about his daughter and was concerned. Emily is pissed at Pam about taking away her phone when she's in the house, and Pam's like, I know this is hard, but it's a good idea. And like, you know, it's like pretend like you're back in a time when we didn't have cell phones. How fun is that? It's not controlling at all. And hey, it's actually time for you to start packing. Emily then goes to turn on her laptop and gets a blue screen. And the blue screen says she needs to format her drive. Cut to Emily talking to Spencer on the phone about the drive being completely wiped.
I hope she didn't have any homework on there. That was
I know.
thought.
There's so much. What if she was writing a paper? I'd be so much more.
I'd be pissed.
We lost the videos and my essay.
Good thing Mr. Fitz is leaving.
I know. Exactly. Also, poor Emily getting the brunt of it. Everybody else is like, well, my computer's fine.
Also, Emily, why you have an open house? People are walking in and out of your house, and you left your electronic out.
Just unlocked too. We assume. I guess that we don't know that for sure. Spencer sees Melissa and asks where she was this morning. And Melissa shows Spencer a sonogram of the baby, and she's like, it's doing great. Spencer says, hey, I would have gone with you. You didn't have to go alone. And Melissa's like, oh, okay, next time. Spencer's like, I can like stay home and, hang out. And, I don't know, maybe answer your phone for you. The worst bluff ever. Melissa says,
oh, God. My Pretty Little Liars. He's not doing so hot.
Having a cough fit. Yeah. Melissa says, no, it's okay. I want my phone in case the police call about Ian. Fitz holds Aria after class. Aria says, oh, your last day is Friday. I'm like, Fitz is like, yep. And Aria's like, well, thanks for the warning on that. And Fitz is like, where's this coming from? I feel like you're just suddenly picking apart everything I say. Aria's like, I'm just wondering how this will be when you leave from here. And Fitz says, I thought it was clear about that this doesn't change anything. And Aria's like, well, I don't know about that. Fitz is like, well, come by my apartment and we'll talk today. And Aria's like, I don't know about that. And he's like, please. Aria's like, well, tomorrow. I'll come tomorrow. In the hall, Mona yells to Aria and calls her Big A. Mona then asks Aria,
do you think that means anything?
I don't think it means anything. That's what's so fantastic about it. It's just like Mona's like, ooh, I got to be chummy with her. Got to turn on the charm. Let me come up with a nickname for her.
The smallest person on the show.
Exactly. It's like calling, big people tiny. And she's like, hey, I heard, it's crazy that Mr. Fitz is leaving. I feel like, if I could round people up and we could all like give him a gift, and like that, like it would be great if you went and got him something because you know him better. And Aria's like, yeah, sure, I can do that. Mona says, okay, great. And one more thing. And Aria's like, well, you have to talk to Hannah about whatever this is. Like, I can't. And I just can't talk to Hannah at all. And Mona's like, why? What happened? Is it about you guys lying to the cops? It's like, we didn't lie to the cops. The therapist is making us stay apart. The friends all quietly discuss the videos being gone in the lunchroom as they're getting their lunch. Emily wonders why Jason's back. Hannah goes to sit down at the table with everybody, and they all start to leave, and the friends are like, we should be sitting apart, like, so it looks like we're going along with it. Hannah's like, that's fucking stupid. Like, we should all, like, sit down and hang here. But then they don't listen, and they all go apart. Mona motions for Hannah to come sit with her, and Hannah's just like, looks at her and storms off. The friends all then receive a text from A that says, look at you all alone in the crowd. I win. Toby sees Spencer at school, and Spencer asks, like, hey, are you coming back to school? It's so exciting. And Toby's like, I'm not changing my mind. I'm still getting my GED. Spencer's like, but I want you back at school. And Toby says, like, I don't want to come back here. Like, why would I want to come back here? And besides, I have a job doing construction now. Look, I'm wearing the t-shirt. Points to his t-shirt.
Brenton yelled, take it off.
We got to do our part to yell at the construction workers.
Reverse catcalling.
Exactly. Even if it's Toby, can't make any
concessions.
Spencer asks how his parents feel about this, and Toby's like, they're the reason that I have this job now. I need to get out of there. Spencer's like, I hope that's not out of Rosewood. And Toby's like, well, that depends, like, on reasons. And Toby's like, okay, well, name 3. And Toby's like, I can only name 1.
You just said Toby for all of the dialogue.
Spencer says name 3 and Toby says name 1. Toby. I was
like, did I hear that wrong?
Yeah. Toby's talking to himself, and Spencer is sitting there flabbergasted.
Oh, God, I gotta go.
Yeah. I'm having concerns about this. Emily swims at a meet and apparently does well. And afterwards, she gets a hug from Samara, who's like, hey, you did so good out there. Do you want to go grab something to eat? And Emily's like, not today, I can't. And Samara's like, well, what about tomorrow? And Emily's like, I'm moving, okay? Like, I don't want to start anything I can't finish. And Samara's like, well, we could just, like, see a movie, like, and just, like, get popcorn, like, or am I, like, misreading things? And gives her a knowing look. And Emily's like, okay, no, you're not. Like, let's do tomorrow. Then a recruiter from Danby University greets Emily and hands her his card, like to sit down and talk about, like, you know, getting recruited. He doesn't say the word recruited. About her like opportunities at the college. Samir's like, congrats, you're getting recruited.
Scouted.
So close.
I mean, same concept.
You're getting enlisted.
Oh no.
Melissa and Spencer hang at the house. Melissa is mad at the papers, like the newspapers and all the stuff that's like happening there, and notices that Spencer is putting together some dessert, and she's like, hey, is that for Toby? And Spencer's like, it's for Jason. He moved back, so I'm just trying to be first to the welcome party. And she's like, hey, Melissa, weren't Jason and Ian friends? And Melissa goes to walk away, and it's just like, Jason isn't someone you can depend on. Spencer's like, oh, is that your opinion, or did Ian say that? And Melissa gets mad, and Spencer's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you. And Melissa's like, well, don't talk about Ian then.
We don't talk about Ian.
No. Could be in the walls. Hannah and her parents.
Oh my God. Wait.
It'd be really funny. Hannah and her parents talk about the therapist.
Spoilers.
It's so funny. Hannah, her mom, and dad is there as well. Talk about the therapist.
Papa Hannah.
Exactly. Papa Hands.
I don't remember his name.
So if they're the Marins.
Marins.
So I guess is that Ashley's maiden name?
No, I assumed it was
his name.
Yeah.
So Mr. Marin. Hannah's frustrated being separated from her friends, and her dad tries to take an active role in being like, well, you know, it'll be okay. And Hannah says, like, he's like, you know, we can like talk about this. And Hannah's like, what are we gonna do? Email about it? Her dad says, well, I thought I'd stay around for a couple days. And Hannah storms off. And Ashley's like, oh, so were you planning on staying in town before this stuff with Hannah? And he's like, and she's like, won't this cause a problem with other people? And he's like, nothing I can't handle. Ashley thanks him for having her back. Pam asks Emily if she was in the locker in the garage. We're like missing some like winter and camping gear. And Emily's like, there was someone that broke into our garage. And Pam's like, no, don't worry. I'll call the police about it. It's okay. There's been like other like random break-ins around the street too. How strange. Spencer arrives at Jason's house with the desserts. I love this scene. Spencer sees a dog in the yard and is excited, as we all are. It's like, oh, nice dog.
Hi, doggo.
Jason rips open the door, throws a newspaper at the dog, and yells at it, get out of here. The scene plays out, though, is like he throws the newspaper like super hard, but then we cut to it kind of like skipping across the grass like 10 feet away from the dog, and the dog's not reacting, and then we cut to the dog like running away.
No animals were harmed in the making of Pretty Little Liars. I know. And I think it's important to note that.
But it's really
Aria wouldn't have stood for that.
It's such an amazing reintroduction to Jason as a character that he's like seen throwing an item at a dog.
Mm-hmm. But not really.
Not really, exactly. Spencer hands off the desserts to Jason. Is like, welcome back. That didn't freak me out at all. Spencer asks if his parents are coming back, and Jason's like, nope, I'm going to be on my own for a while. Jason says he heard about what happened to her and asks if she's okay. Spencer's like, I'm working on it, but like, do you actually know what's going on? Jason says, like I mostly do, but like the cops won't talk to me and they think I'm like a thorn in their side. And Spencer's like, well, maybe I can help with whatever you're doing. Jason asks about the bell tower and Ian confessing to the murder. Did he actually do that? Spencer's like, they're just calling that my version of events. And Jason continues to press for a clarification. Did he confess? Spencer says, I think he did, but he said he wanted to make it look like I killed Allie. Jason asks how Ian would have framed her, and Spencer's like, well, he was going to say that I pushed her. Jason asks again if Ian directly confessed. Did he say I murdered Allison? Spencer says, well, not that exact statement. And Jason says, like, well, what do you, like, freaks out and is like, well, what the hell? And then he's like, I just better go back in. Spencer's like, hey, I can help. And Jason says, you already did. We then get a flashback. Hey, flashbacks. Jason is chasing after Allison and yelling at her. And he's like, damn it, Allison, stop messing with my stuff. And Allie's like, what are you afraid I'll find in there? And Jason's like, oh, nothing. And Allison makes fun of him and makes fun of his intelligence as he leaves in front of all the friends sitting there laughing. The friends are like, what's up with your brother? He's acting so kooky. And Allison,
silly boy.
Exactly. And Allison's like, oh, I stole one of his Japanese porn books, like, from him. Like, don't worry, he won't be able to find it because I've got hiding places all over the house. You know, I'm so good at hiding things. That's why your secrets are safe with me. They then hear a crash from inside the house. Present. The light above Spencer turns off and she walks off suspiciously. Dumbledore's in town. Emily swims.
Dumbledore.
Emily swims at practice, but then we cut to her talking to the Danby rep about scholarship. And he's like, yeah, you know, you're the front runner, but I heard about you leaving Rosewood. Like, that would, like, really harm your chances because Rosewood's such a high-ranking school. And Emily's like, oh, no, I'm staying here to finish school. He's like, oh, really? She's like, yeah, that other thing, that wasn't a done deal. Spencer then drives up to see Toby working construction, or he's like at the construction site, as he's handed a letter and looks sad from what looks to be the foreman. Toby walks over to Spencer's car and he's like, I was let go because the owner of the house saw I was on the job and said either he goes or like you don't get my business. Toby is pissed about the town and Spencer's like, well, okay, let me give you a ride. And he's like, well, I'll just catch up with you later, and walks off sad.
That boy gotta go be sad alone.
Totally. He can't get a job. Aria talks to Fitz on the phone, and as she's at his apartment, and she's mad about him staying, like, going to be late. And he's like, I'm in talks with the head of the apartment here. Like, please just hang around. And she's like, okay. Aria places his diploma back on his desk. Emily talks to Pam about her scholarship opportunities at Danby and like, we really have to stick around. Pam's like, you know, that is a lot to think about, but like, I think your dad would agree that like this would be an important enough reason to stay, but we need a commitment from the university. We need to know that they'll actually give you this scholarship and like have you attend. Spencer and Aria talk on the phone about Fitz being stuck in a meeting, and Aria asks, like, hey, Spencer, how long should I wait? You've got, like, a really good internal clock about, like, everything, and you're very precise, and, like, you know, maybe, like, how long should I sit here? And Spencer's like, and then suddenly she hears a knock and is like, I'll call you later. Spencer opens door to Toby coming over and is like, hey, can you come out? Aria sits impatiently around Fitz's apartment when she gets another text from Fitz asking her to please wait. Hannah gets a message from Mona on her home phone, and Hannah's dad is like, hey, is there something up with like your phone, or is there something up with Mona? And he's like, hey, I know it's tough not seeing your friends, but it's a good thing in the long run. Hannah asks, isn't it weird I only see you when I'm in trouble? Isn't that something to think about? Isn't that strange? And she goes, should I bring this up in therapy? Yes.
You should, Hannah.
He says he's sorry it seems that way.
It is that way. That's one of my biggest pet peeves is when someone goes, I'm sorry it seems that way. And I'm like, in my perception.
Well, let's look at the calendar.
It is that way.
Hannah says that when her parents got divorced, that you said, I would never stop being your daughter, and that you lied to me. And he's like, you know, I made a lot of mistakes, and this is a big one too, and I don't forgive myself for leaving you behind. Aria continues to sit impatiently around Fitz's apartment, then eventually leaves a note in Fitz's typewriter that says, I'm sorry we couldn't make this work. Emily and Samara are at the movie theater. Emily's kind of like weird and fidgety about stuff, and Samara's like, what's going on? And she's like, nothing. She's like, oh, you've been here with someone before. Do you want to like go to somewhere else? And Emily's like, no, it's okay. Like I came here with Maya like in the past, and that was like my first girlfriend. And Samara is like, you know, like, that's sweet. Like, that's nice. Like, and discusses her first love with Emily. Mona sits at the cafe alone as Hannah arrives. Hannah asks if she's alone or if Noel Kahn is lurking somewhere. It's a good question.
Is he though?
Exactly. Mona's like, no, I'm alone tonight.
He's under the table.
Exactly. He's in the supplies closet. Hannah asks if Mona and Noel are going out, and Mona's like, isn't it kind of crazy? I've got like some bad boy cred now. And Hannah's like, I'd be careful about that one. And Mona's like, you're you're saying you're care for me, like you're worried about me. And Hannah's like, I understand you wanted to protect me and all that. And Mona asks if Hannah forgives her, and Hannah says, yes, I do. Mona says, wow, no one has ever forgiven me before. Brutal. Poor Mona. I know she acts erratic, but that's tough to hear. Toby and Spencer are in the forest, in their overlook spot overlooking the town. Toby is mad that Spencer didn't tell him about Ian. And she's like, well, what would you have even done? And Toby is just like, nothing, I guess. Okay, fine. He's a lot less mean about it. He's just like, okay, you're right. Like, no, I couldn't do anything. Toby looks over the town. He's just like, it looks like a town from up here, but it's actually a monster. Spencer's like, it's not a monster. And Toby's like, well, there's monsters in it, and we both know that. Spencer says, I'll do whatever you want me to do. Should I tell the cops about Ian texting Melissa? Toby's like, when did the cops do us any favor? I love how much this show is just like, cops are useless. It's pretty great. Or they're worse than useless. They are actually evil. We then cut to the Hastings house as we pan around to Aria coming over and finding that the glass is broken and one of the little panes on the door. Aria goes in, looking around and calling for Spencer. She hears someone upstairs and turns to see a hooded figure running down the stairs, and the hooded figure shoves her across the room, a really hard shove. Aria goes crashing into a table as they run out. I was like, damn, that's a hard hit. It was a really hard hit. It was a
football tackle.
It really was. I was like, damn, that's intense. I really hope Lucy Hale did that stunt. We then cut to Spencer asking Aria if she's okay and that she called the cops. Aria's like, hey, I'm okay. It mentions the break-in also at Emily's house, and they wonder what A would want with camping gear. Spencer says, I wonder if it's not A. Maybe it's Ian. We know someone who's on the run. Aria asks, do you think it was Ian upstairs? And Spencer says, Melissa's in the barn. What would Ian possibly want? And Ian says, he may want you. Emily talks to the Danby rep at school and asks for an offer. And he's like, whoa, I can't do that yet. We're just talking about the possibilities, the opportunities. I could talk to your parents. And she's like, I need a firm commitment. And he's like, I can't make a promise at the moment, but we can talk over potential opportunities. Fitz Fitz is addressing the class. He opens a present from the class, and it's To Kill a Mockingbird. And he's like, wow, thank you so much, class. I'm so, most of what happened at this school, I didn't expect to happen. I didn't expect to connect with you. I didn't expect to feel the loss about leaving you. He's like, I'm not going to forget you all. I'm going to remember you, your questions, your voices, your faces, as he stares directly at Aria. And he's like, I cherish the time I spent here. He then quotes Joseph Campbell about that, the life we're meant to live will appear before us. And he's like, I thought I understood that quote till I met you. Then the bell rings as everybody leaves. And he says, have a nice life. It's pretty much the speech from School of Rock, except the parents aren't there, confused about Jack Black potentially touching their kids. Mm-hmm. Aria sits in the lunch hall alone and sad. She then decides, grabs her things, runs to see Fitz in the classroom as it's raining outside, but it's empty and is shell-shocked. But then suddenly, to the north, it's Gandalf. Sun comes out and fills the classroom, and Aria looks happy, and she goes and runs and goes to see Fitz in the parking lot, and they embrace and make out.
In front of a school bus.
In front of a school bus. Can't fire me now. Ha ha ha.
How does that prison cell look, though?
I know. Aria sits in the... no, we already did that. Melissa sits sadly on the couch as Spencer arrives home, and Spencer's like, hey, what did you do today? Did you do anything? You go anywhere? And Melissa's like, not in this weather. I never left the house. Spencer notices that there are wet rain boots, and there's puddle next to him, and then she feels her raincoat, and it's wet. Melissa's raincoat. And in the pocket, she finds the sonogram. Spencer then reconvenes another greenhouse meeting and explains the findings to the friends about Melissa. They all discuss the need for them to stay together now more than ever and to find Ian, since Melissa must be seeing him. As they walk home, they see Jason as he's putting like holes in his front yard, and he's like, "I'm putting up a fence for privacy and security." Hannah asks who he's trying to keep out, like to the friends, and Aria's like, "I wonder what he's trying to keep in." We then cut to the dog again, digging in the yard and scratching at a tarp. There's a whistle for the dog as a gloved hand reaches out and pets it.
No.
Yeah, isn't that nice? I was like, oh, this is kind of just nice. I'm like, what are they gonna do to the dog?
Okay. So we already talked a little bit about who Hannah. My first question was about Hannah. Like, why is Hannah the only one that's like, hey, being separated might be dangerous, but it's because it's third act Hannah.
Exactly. This is third. Exactly. We've mentioned it before. She is fully encompassed. She has grown off screen and
self-actualized.
Exactly. Yeah. This is everybody else is still going through it, and Hannah's just like, we don't have to put up with bullshit.
Toby's I'll follow you golden retriever vibes.
Yes, very much so.
We love it.
We love it. Yeah, and I love where he's just like, I wanted to help you, and then she's like, well, you wouldn't have done anything, and he's just like, you're right.
What do you think his idea is? Because he's like, when have the cops ever helped us? Do you think he has a different idea for what they should do with that information?
Oh no, I think he's just like, don't go to the cops. We'll continue to do our spy things.
Our Nancy Drew.
Exactly. Yeah. Our mystery stuff together. Yeah. I just love that this show is like very much just like the cops won't help you. I don't think it's making any grand statements about that, but I think it fits perfectly in the thing of like, well, these kids have to figure it out and everybody else is against them. So like the institutions are not going to help you either.
Do we think Emily being scouted is going to impact the move?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's not going to work out to what Emily wants. So I don't.
What do you think is going to happen?
I think she's going to. She's not going to be able to get that firm commitment that her parents need. But there's got to be some other way for her to stay in town. I don't think it's going to be the scholarship from Dumby.
Okay.
Bam.
But something legitimate to get her to stay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she's not going to move.
Okay. Who took the stuff from her garage?
Oh, yeah. I like watching it last night. I'm like, that's not going to be it's not going to be anybody that we're really interested in. I think it's Caleb. I put that together like as we were like recording.
Hannah camped and now he's camping to hide out.
Yeah. I was kind of like half joking when I mentioned that earlier. I'm like, wait, no, that actually kind of like makes sense. He probably like grabs stuff there because he's like trying to stay around until like Hannah forgives him. So yeah, I think Caleb is responsible for the rash of like small break-ins.
Whose dog is that?
I know. Poor dog. He gets completely mistreated.
Why is Jason so upset about a dog digging in his yard? Do you think there's anything under that tarp?
There's got to be something under the tarp, like a reason that he's digging. I think there isn't anything under the tarp, but he is digging, and so is trying to find things that obviously Allison hid. So he's trying to find like info. I think that's connected to that.
You're smart.
And so that's why he put a tarp over so it doesn't look like
she was like
suspicious.
The house and the yard.
Yeah, exactly. So he's just like, well, I have to check everywhere now. And so he wants to put up a fence so like people don't see him doing weird shit.
Yeah, like digging his entire yard up.
But yeah, that poor dog. I mean, there's the I don't know if you've heard the Save the Cat. It's a popular screenwriting thing that people mostly ignore now. It was based on a screenwriting book that was called Save the Cat, I believe. And pretty much what it's supposed to be is that you need to endear the hero to the audience by having them save the cat, and you can adapt that to whatever. This is the opposite.
Kick the dog.
Exactly. Where it's just like, we know that like something's immediately wrong with this person because they're like throwing some kind of defenseless animal.
Do we think Jason thinks Ian did it?
Yeah. Or I think that, but he wants assurances, obviously.
But if he was there to push Ian, why does he not know what Ian said?
If he was there in the bell tower?
Uh-huh.
Because he was following them, and then it's like, oh my God, Spencer's in trouble. And I think Ian is his best theory.
Mm.
And so, but once that assurance to like go after him further.
Perfect. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How did Ezra not notice the diploma missing from the surface of his desk? Then again, like I guess you could probably move things in my home and I wouldn't notice.
Right. When it, I don't know. Yeah, especially because the diploma's pretty big.
I think it was just sitting on his desk. It wasn't like hung on the wall.
No. So like, I don't know. Not that observant, I guess. Or I guess he's not really using that desk. Probably. That's maybe my. Well, no, he has his computer there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess I can't fault him too much because, like, if you probably move something that was in the background of my thing, I probably wouldn't notice for a couple days either. Yeah, you would think a big item like a diploma, you'd be like, hey, Aria, did you take this?
Yeah. It does also play into your theory. If Ezra's A, like he wouldn't care that his diploma's missing because he
put it there.
Gone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't thought about that, but yeah, that would totally make sense.
Mm-hmm. Makes it easy to send that photo and know that she's not there anymore too.
Yep, exactly.
Hannah and Mona.
I like that they're mending their friendship.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on Mona?
Like I said, just devastating. I think Mona needed and needs just a hug. Like, honestly,
so sweet.
It really.
You're like, this girl just needs some love.
She does. I think she only she figured out, because we get that like both her and Hannah like turn their popularity around, quote unquote, by like doing whatever they did.
But Hannah was already there. Like she already had Allison.
Right.
She just became more of an it girl.
Right. And Mona didn't. So I think Mona has that is like self-conscious because that's why she's gossiping about people. So she has like her one true friend, and everybody else is kind of like on shaking ground because she like has a certain way she acts with people. So I think she just needs assurances and friends. And especially it's so sad when like to Hannah, she's like, oh, no one's ever forgiven me before. It's like, damn, you need a hug.
Yeah.
She's the best because like she's not smooth at all in anything she does. Like calling Aria Big A. Hey, how can I like try and endear myself to this person that like doesn't really like me all that much? Hey, we're gonna try and act chummy. We got nicknames.
Yeah. Poor Toby in the construction job.
Yeah. I mean, he's still being villainized.
Mm-hmm.
This entire town hates Toby.
Yeah.
Because he's just this like he doesn't fit in.
Yeah, and he's not gonna fit in. Mm-hmm. But he does his little "the whole town is bad" speech.
Yeah.
And Spencer's on the mount, if you will.
Spencer's not there yet, but
he's very much just.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think Spencer should hopefully get there. This is where I'm like concerned, is that like hesitation in between the two of them, where Spencer's like, oh, they're still like good in the town, and Toby being like, there isn't.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm concerned about where that's going to go in the future, and that would potentially be a way to splinter them, where Spencer doesn't have his back on something.
Yeah, that'd be sad.
Yeah, so that's where I'm worried about Spoby there, because Spoby has every right to be like, yeah, these people are all shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't do anything, and I walk around town, and they won't let me have a job. They won't let me like go to school.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do anything here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And Spencer's like, but I have an okay life here. Like, Spencer needs to get to that point because it's like, you don't have a much better.
No.
You've got it's pretty tough out there. And two people that don't fit into a specific archetype and both have things like swirling around them of like rumors and gossip in this like wealthy, affluent town.
All the rumors are true.
Yeah.
Who tackled Aria?
Because someone broke into the house. I'm gonna say the black hoodies are connected, and that it is Jason in there trying to look for shit on Ian, but he doesn't know where Ian's stuff is. And so he's in the main house. I mean, how would he know that Melissa and Ian live in the backyard?
Mm-hmm.
So he was looking around for crap. And then, because like, he threw shit at a dog. Like, what is it to him about like
tackling Aria?
Checking Aria.
Fitz,
so that's my theory.
Okay. Fitz's last day speech. We've already covered a little. It was odd.
Really weird.
The public kiss.
It's so funny. Just like, okay, we need to have this moment, but like in the faculty parking lot.
Are there going to be ramifications from that?
I don't think so. I think this was totally just a scene of like, oh my God, they're back together. Look at how exciting it is. I think it's like we're not supposed to like think about like that they're in a giant public setting with like teachers and things. Even if it is like it seems like everybody's pretty much gone home. Mm-hmm. It's not, you're still at the school. I don't think it's going to come back around. I think it's just like, that triumphant moment of like them getting back together.
Why did Melissa lie about leaving the house?
Yeah, I think she was trying to go see Ian.
And she took the sonogram to show him?
Uh-huh.
Do you think she saw Ian?
I think she did.
Okay.
I think she definitely did. But like, she's not happy about like whatever happened.
Okay.
Because she like does seem like still out of it there at the house. She's not, it doesn't look like she's putting on a sad tone to Spencer.
She is a sad tone.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
That's my guess.
Those are my main questions. So then let's talk through who's A. Brenton's theory corner.
Well, wait just 1 minute.
What is this?
Step into my office.
Oh, God.
Brenton's Theory Corner. Thank you to Epic Engine Assets, Unreal Engine. Okay, so Brenton's Theory Corner. Who is A?
The police sirens outside that they probably can't hear, really adding to the ambiance.
Okay. So, yeah, welcome all you...
cats and kittens.
I was going to say dames and PIs. But
everyone, really. Doesn't matter how you identify.
So I'm going to say, I still like my Melissa theory.
Okay.
That she is still pulling things from behind the scenes on like trying to like get back about something.
Mm-hmm.
In her case, it'd be a more vengeful reason of like getting after Allison and trying to uncover like dislodge secrets and things, and that could be the split of between her and Jason, where Jason is trying to like clear name, and there's like that split with Melissa. Melissa could also be part of the Jason thing. I'm not ruling that out, so I like that idea. Running up next is Allison still being alive, trying to find out who the hell killed her. And then third would be Fitz for reasons that he was connected with Allison in the past. And I still think the Black Hoodie is Jason doing his work to try and uncover the truth and avenge Allison. And he has like some sort of personal stake in it of like information he's trying to find, secrets that he's trying to find at the house.
I like it. Any final thoughts and theories?
Oh, we're going to go away from the Brenton's Theory Corner. Goodbye.
Okay. Goodbye, Theory Corner.
Okay, we're back.
Thoughts and theories? Any finals?
No, I thought these episodes were all right.
Getting back in.
Exactly. I don't, the tantalizing things are like the Jason thing. I don't really think like the main A plot, is all that.
The B plot's always better on this show.
Is all that exciting at the moment, because it's like, I understand why the parents don't have to believe them, but it's like, this isn't like too exciting there. And it's a little bit of just trying to like put things in place. There's not really too many tantalizing things about A. or Ian that has really popped up yet. So,
Okay.
it's an all right opening. But I think that's all my thoughts.
All right. Should we plug?
Let's do it.
When I'm not here doing this, sometimes I am doing life and career coaching. You can find all of my coaching details, my social media, everything at butreallythough.com. That was spelled THO, and Brenton will put the link tree in the description.
Yes, you can find that on all the episode descriptions and on our pages, or on the podcast pages. You can find this podcast at Dead Ends on all your podcast platforms of choice, or you can watch the video version on YouTube at Dead Ends. You can also now write in with your questions to our new mailbox, deadendspcast@gmail.com. That is the podcast name, PCAST@gmail.com, all one word. And we'll figure out, how we want to read them. And rate and review us on your podcast platform of choice. Give us a like on YouTube as well, because we're a small podcast and we appreciate all of those.
Every single listen.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. We really do. Mm-hmm. And then you can also find my extended stuff. We do Let's Plays over on my YouTube channel, Burger Discourse. Took a few weeks off, but we're back with Kingdom Hearts Rechained of Memories. And one day I'm going to write another blog at my blog, burgerdiscourse.com.
There you go.
Hoping that
Maybe
by the time this one goes up, I'll have a blog up on Citizen Sleeper.
Wow, look at you.
Yeah. But yeah, cool. I think that is it.
Well, then there you go. Well,
so as we always say, every time, say it with us now. We're still here, and we're gonna find out everything.
Are we?
We are.
Are you gonna find out everything?
Yes, that's why I've been digging holes in the yard.
We don't have a yard.
No.